On this episode of the Naturist Living Show, 50 years at the Ponderosa.
This episode of the Naturist Living Show is brought to you by Bare Oaks Family Naturist Park. At Bare Oaks, we offer traditional naturist values in a modern setting. Free your body, free your mind. www.bareoaks.ca.
Welcome, dear listener, to episode number 72 of the Naturist Living Show. My name is Stéphane Deschênes. I'm your host for this podcast and the owner of Bare Oaks Family Naturist Park. This summer, the Federation of Canadian Naturists held their a Naturist Festival that's held every year, which is a combination of their annual general meeting, but also a festival at the same time, bring naturists together to discuss issues and discuss naturism and what's going on in the movement. And they held it at the Ponderosa Nature Resort. That's not to be confused with the Ponderosa Sun Club in Roselawn, Indiana, which we've talked about in the past quite a while ago, which hosts the Nudes Poppin' event. Just to make a long story short, the Nudes Poppin' event is essentially a soft porn star gathering of nude people who are there for the entertainment of largely dressed people who want to take their pictures and that kind of thing. It's a big fundraiser for the Ponderosa Sun Club, which also says they're a family nudist park. But I don't know how you can talk about nudist or naturist values in terms of body acceptance when you spend one weekend a year selling flesh, objectifying the body, turning people into sex objects and objects of desire. It goes against all the values of naturism, of ethical naturism. They justify it by saying that it's only one weekend and the two are very separate, and it makes a lot of money so they can keep the other club going. I guess that means the end justifies the means in this case, and I respectfully disagree with that. But we're not talking about the Ponderosa Sun Club. We're talking about the Ponderosa Nature Resort in outside, just a little bit west of Toronto. It's really Bare Oaks and Ponderosa, the two clubs left in the Toronto area. There was also the Four Seasons Family Nudist Resort and the Glen Echo Family Nudist Park, both closed. And we've talked about that in the past because when the owners get older and want to retire, they put it up for sale. In the case of Glen Echo, it's sold to a private individual who wanted to make it a personal retreat, and you can't stop that. And in the case of the Four Seasons, it was for sale for 10 years, and the company that bought it ended up turning it into a textile campground. And there's a whole story behind that, but we won't get into that right now. But we were at the Ponderosa Nature Resort for the festival, and also because it was celebrating their 50 years. They had been around for 50 years as of this summer of 2014. So I was there. I had a great time as well. In fact, I had a great time because I didn't have anything to worry about. This was not my club. This was not my responsibility. I could enjoy myself and relax and just sit by the bar and have a drink. And when things didn't go quite right, it was somebody else's issue to deal with and not mine. And that's kind of unusual, especially when it comes to naturism for me. So I had a great time, and I was very pleased to see Hans and Lisa Stein there as well. The current manager is Lee Klaus, an owner, and she runs a very tight ship, and she does a really good job. The Ponderosa is very active in terms of parties and fun and bands and music, and they have a good time. People have a good time there. It's a good party place. And she does a good job of managing all that. But Hans and Lisa Stein were actually the original founders of the Ponderosa Nature Resort 50 years ago. And they were there, but they were also the former owners of the Four Seasons Nudist Resort. because they founded the Ponderosa. There was a disagreement with their partner, as you'll hear in a second. And then they went on and started the Four Seasons. The Four Seasons sold in 2009 on their 40th anniversary. And Hans and Lisa are now members of the Ponderosa, since the Four Seasons is now a textile campground. And so I sat down with them and asked them to share with us a little bit of the history of both clubs.
Well, I'm Lisa Stein.
Hans Stein.
And you, until not very long ago, were the owners of the Four Seasons Family Nudist Park or Resort. And so how did that happen?
Well, it started in 1961. Actually, it started in 1957 when we came to Canada. We came from Germany, immigrated to Canada, and nudism is very popular in Germany. You know, German people have no hang-ups about being in the nude. So we were looking for a place, and we ran across Sun Valley Gardens. How did we run across that? We must have found out somehow.
Well, no, there was an open house at Sun Valley Gardens, and I read in the Hamilton Spectator that there was a traffic jam, and the police had to direct the traffic at that weekend. It was an open house weekend. So I read in the paper, and I was interested if there was a nudist resort. So that's when one Sunday we drove down there and spent a day there, and then we became members and stayed there for 3 years, from 1961 to 1964. And then we saw Sun Valley Garden, people coming all the way from Toronto, driving through Hamilton all the way to Niagara Falls, basically. So why don't we come in the Hamilton area and get the people, before they drive any further, have something in our backyard in the Hamilton area. So then we searched for a property. So after a search with a friend of real estate, we found 100 acres in Beverly Township, which is all now city of Hamilton, Flamborough, West Flamborough, East Flamborough. So we got 100 acres. We bought 100 acres on the 1st of August, 1964. We closed the deal. So we paid the farmer, we made a deal, the farm was $15,000. And the mortgage was $100 a month. So we joined together with my sister and her husband. So the two families of us, we started the Ponderosa Nature Resort.
So when you bought that land, what was here? Was there anything?
There was absolutely nothing here. Where the volleyball and the tennis courts and all these things, this was one big field with oats planted. So the farmer was farming on this land here, which were about 10 acres around here, with oats. And there was not even a road coming in here. The farmer could get through the bush here with a tractor and trailer. A car could never get through here. So then we started building a road first. Then we did the clubhouse and the swimming pool. In 1965, 3 of us, we all worked night shifts in Hamilton, in the steel company, United Gas, and Odie's Elevator, and so on. We all did night shift. In the daytime, we built a swimming pool. So it was all solid rock here, bedrock. So we had to blast the swimming pool 14 feet deep out of the rock with dynamite and so on. And then we started building the clubhouse and so on.
So you've spent all this money to buy this land.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money back then.
Back then.
And you have nothing, so you have no money, you have no customers, you have no income. How did you survive?
When we left Sun Valley Gardens, people were not very happy at Sun Valley Gardens with the owner. So people came, stayed for a year, and never came back. That's why we noticed, there's something wrong here. Why they don't come back? So
there's a reason for that too. Sun Valley Gardens opened in May, 21st of May, and closed Labor Day. Now, we thought if we're going to build something and keep it open year-round, that might be better for the people, you know. So they had a place to go year-round. You lose a lot of members in the winter time when you close a facility. So they find other places to go and other things to do. And you might not get them back next May for whatever reason. So that was another reason why why people left Sun Valley Gardens to join us here.
So we built a clubhouse, so people had a place in the winter time to come here. We had a sauna, and we had quite right through the winter. We were busy at all times. In the summer, with the beautiful big swimming pool we had here.
So you bought it. How long until you had the clubhouse and the pool and everything running after you bought it?
It only took us 2 years to build the pool. That pool was opened in 1965. We built it in one summer. 3 people by hand. We built that pool.
So we're sitting here around the pool at the Ponderosa, and it's the same pool from 1965. Is the clubhouse the same? Or is
the clubhouse is the same, except the addition, the indoor swimming pool and the rooms upstairs. My sister built it on after we left. So that was her.
Of course, we first built a one-story place. You know, we in 65 we built a one-story place, and it had not a solid roof because we had intended to build a second story over top of it. That was supposed to be our living quarters on top. So we had no roof there, and when it rained, we had to move the beds, you know, not to get wet. Lots of times.
Flat roof, you know, was leaking.
66, I think, we stocked up the second story.
Yeah.
The following year.
Right. Next year, yes.
And so were you successful? Were there members? Were you making money right away?
Yes, because, like I said before, people were very unhappy at Sun Valley Gardens with the owners. They couldn't get along, you know. It was really hard. And they got upset, and they've joined 1 year, and the next year they didn't come back. So we said, well, that's people coming from Toronto or from Hamilton driving all the way down there. Why don't we start our own club here in Beverly Township, you know, where it used to be.
And how did Carl Rule react? Was he mad at you?
He was very mad because we took quite a lot of people right off the bat joined with us. So we had a good start right off the beginning. We had some money coming in, and we all worked in the city, yeah, except my sister Ernie. She did the housework and cooking and so on. But all 3 of us, we went in the city and worked. So that helped, you know.
And then when we were here, it became another problem. We had intended to get people from the public to join us. You know, up until then, it was always nudist move from one club to another club. And we had an idea we should go and advertise to the general public, to the Canadians, to become nudists. And Hans's sister was not that open-minded to this. So this is how we separated, why we separated to begin with.
So we wanted to build a club year-round and be open to the public and generate this way new memberships. So that's when we separated from Ponderosa, and we found a property which is the Four Seasons property now, on the 12th concession in Freelton. So that's again, we started from scratch. Not quite from scratch, because there was a house on it with an indoor swimming pool. So right away the first year, when we moved in December 1968, we moved in, and in the winter we built right away a sauna on the outside of it. And we had an indoor swimming pool, we had one shower, we had one toilet.
And we had a clubhouse.
Clubhouse was our living quarters, basically. So the next year we started putting an upstairs on the clubhouse and extended. Every year we did more extension and extension. And also in '69 we built an outdoor swimming pool, which we in 1971 closed in. So we had an
Let me get in there before you get to 71. Now here we go again, moving people from one club to another club and missing the general public to become nudists. Now how are you going to do that? We couldn't advertise in the Spectator or in any Toronto paper because they wouldn't take the word nudist or nature resort, not even nature resort, they would accept as an advertisement. So we did think we have to go and find a gimmick. Here it goes, the Miss Nude World Contest. Open to the public to watch, see nudists vie for a title. Goes against all rules of nudism because beauty is very unimportant in nudism, in my opinion. You know, you the person that counts in nudism, not how you look. But of all things, it did the trick. We could advertise. We had every media possible covering the Miss Nude World Contest, including Gordon Sinclair, who was quite a personality in that time, Pierre Burden. And, of course, we got this all through connections to one Captain Andy, who was a friend of ours, who had a television program in Hamilton. It was called the Captain Andy Show. Yeah. So in 1 year, in 1970, I think we made, after this contest, we sold about 100 to 200 memberships to families. At that time, we took only families in. Not that we discriminated against single people, but you wanted this to become, which it is, a family thing. A family event. Nudism should be a family event. It was when I grew up in Germany, you know, I never had a hang-up about my body, and neither did my parents or anyone else I knew. So there we go. Now you can go to 71.
Well, 71 we did the first Miss Nude World contest. 1970, the first Nude World pageant. So it really, we had all the support of the media. We had television, we had newspapers. It was unbelievable. We had traffic controlled on the highway, had to bus people in because we didn't have enough people. Parking. We rented the farm on the 6th highway, so we had to bus the people in. It was a great success. So we carried on till 1975, as every year we made another contest. And the contestants, we got them from all around the world, actually. The individual nudist resorts, they had their own little contest and then sent the winner to the Four Seasons for the final, for the Miss Nude World pageant.
They thought it worked for us, so they jumped on the bandwagon. Cypress Cove was first club, very, very beautiful club in Florida, who supported our contest. And lo and behold, they got the winner, and they used it for all it could get them. And but after a few years, you know, this was supposed to be only a gimmick to get the media on our side and to get the word of nudist clubs out there in the world. And I do believe it did work.
There's in my club at Bear Oaks, we have a poster from Glen Echo and TGS, and it's the Miss Nude World from Glen Echo that had won at Four Seasons.
1970 she
That's
won.
right.
Rhonda Stella.
And the poster is advertising the TGS's. They were having a nudist rally,
And I think in 1971 is when they were having, and they were featuring her on the poster. So
First Miss Nude World, Rhonda Stella from Toronto, from TGS.
The FCN was already in existence at the time. We had a lot of support from them as well. They had an exhibition of some kind in Toronto. I think it was the Sportsman's Show, and FCN had a booth.
yeah, it was called the Canadian Sunbathing Association.
Right. And Rhonda Stellen meant that booth. Our Miss Nude World of 1970 meant that booth in that year. And of course, after we got rid of, Miss Nude World done the job, and we are not in the business of running beauty contests. We wanted to be in the business of running a nudist resort and spreading the word.
So clearly Carl Rule was not very happy, and the Ponderosa, your sister, probably you were competing, but you were obviously getting along well with other clubs who were helping you.
We were getting along with Ponderosa too. She said, "You do your thing and I do my thing," and it worked out. It worked all wonderfully out in the end. And today we are members here we are lifetime members here. Lee gave us a lifetime membership, after we sold Four Seasons, and we're pretty happy here.
We brought a lot of people over here, from the Four Seasons,
Which is not a nudist resort anymore.
Not anymore.
So from the time, from 75 or so, what happened in the next few decades?
Absolutely, nudism grew leaps and bounds, and it was not a problem. We got our advertising done right through the whole world. Actually, they knew in Europe where we were.
We got every year about $1 million worth of publicity worldwide.
Free publicity.
So then you eventually decide to retire, and you sold.
Well, our son died in 1968. 2008. Our son Michael died of a massive heart attack. So he was very helpful in our business. He did all the office work and so on and so forth. And myself, I needed hip operations, I needed knee operations. And I was not in very good shape in the wheelchair for a whole year.
You're breaking down.
And I couldn't handle it anymore by myself. And then I'm 86 years old too. So there was a time to sell, to get you retire.
Well, I got to say, I would have never guessed you were 86 years old. You are both walking around. You seem very healthy. You're sharp. Your mind is sharp. Are you enjoying being just a nudist now, or do you miss being the owner of a nudist club?
Well, in the beginning, you miss it. I most certainly missed it. I don't know if Hans missed it, but I most certainly missed owning the Four Seasons. But we've settled down. Our lifestyle is getting a little slower, and we're now enjoying what we built.
Yeah. Well, we moved onto a property only 10 minutes away from Ponderosa, built our own swimming pool, so we have our own backyard nudism, completely private, no problem. But we come here to Ponderosa quite often, every week.
So, looking back, are you glad you did it, or if you knew what you know now, would you have started what you did again?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, it was a very hard work, but it paid off in the long run. It was worth it. Yeah.
And if somebody's thinking of doing it, do you have any advice? Anything you would have done differently?
No, I don't think we couldn't have done any better than we really did, because we started off with basically nothing, and it's just hard work. We worked 7 days a week, and we worked 14, 16 hours every day. All of us, in a teamwork here.
But to spread the word about nudism, you got to advertise. Marketing is everything in any business, and it most certainly is in the nudist business. A lot of people say it is declining. The nudist movement is declining. I do not believe that. you got to go out there and tell people where you are, and you got to show them that this is clean living and family fun and nothing, how do I say that, nothing illegal or
Sexual.
exploitive or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
So to be fair, because I was critical of the Ponderosa Sun Club, I should mention that what Hans and Lisa did in the Four Seasons with the Miss Nude contest that you heard them talk about was also quite controversial, because it certainly for them also made money. I suspect that may be where the Ponderosa Sun Club got the idea. Miss Nude World was very profitable and in some ways very good for the movement, because it got it a lot of publicity. But the question is whether it was good publicity. And there's a documentary, which unfortunately I have no idea how to get other than through the Canadian Archives in Ottawa. There's a documentary film that was done on that event called Mondo Nude, and it was it also saw in the documentary that there is a conflict there between the values of naturism and nudism and what was happening in the Miss Nude World contest that they were hosting. So it was certainly controversial. It certainly did raise a lot of money, allowed them to build a beautiful club with incredible facilities, and got a lot of media attention. So was it worth it? Well, in some ways it was not nearly as salacious as the Nudes Are Popping event based on the images that I see now, because it's become very sexualized. This was more of a straight nudie beauty contest. And beauty contests in the early 70s were not uncommon in a lot of naturist clubs, because it was about also the nudity was also about the perfection of the human body and trying to achieve it. And common in mainstream society, they didn't see it as a de-objectification in the way we see it now. But it certainly was exploitive, and there's no question that it was not in keeping with the mainstream values of naturism, of ethical naturism. So definitely a conflict there. And I'll let you make your own decisions on that. But I will provide a link to the summary or review of that documentary. That is online, even though I have not been able to find the original documentary online to view. If anyone, by the way, can find it, I'm interested in seeing it. I think I saw it a long time ago, but I'm not even sure if I saw the whole thing. So if anybody knows where to get Mondo Nude, a documentary that was done in Canada by Canadian production company with some grants and support from the Canadian government, which is why it's in Ottawa in the National Archives. I would be very appreciative if you would drop me a note. Hi, Felicity.
Hi, Stefan.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. What's on your mind? What are you working on these days?
I am blogging about, I'm working on a blog about the celebrity nude photo hack. Did you hear about it?
Was that the thing with with iPhones or the Apple Cloud thing?
Cloud. Yeah, the cloud.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe it was like early September, late August. Some hackers hacked into the iCloud and got the nude photos of over 100 celebrities and semi-celebrities. And they published them on the internet and distributed them to, all over. So it was a huge thing. And I just, there have been a lot of articles that came out about it, and I read a lot of them, and I'm kind of looking at how this whole issue was viewed and how people responded to it, which wasn't very good. Because the main response, the biggest response was victim blaming.
Yes, of course, as usual.
Yeah, and it was just ridiculous because people responded with basically like, well, don't take nude photos.
Yeah.
That was their response and their solution.
But you know what I found interesting when I heard that too is, why is it a big deal because they were nude photos? Like, it's just as bad if somebody stole photos of my family, personal photos that really shouldn't be spread around. I guess somehow there's more value to nude photos, but it's all
it's all an invasion of your personal privacy.
Exactly. And I'm like, what is it about nude photos that makes other people deny people's right to privacy?
Yeah. I mean, nobody would be saying that if, they stole your bank account information.
Right. That's exactly my argument. There have been major companies that have had hackers hack into their databases and steal their customers' information, like main chain store here, like Target. And people don't respond with, well, don't shop at Target and don't use credit cards.
Yeah.
They don't blame the customers for that. And so it's just kind of ridiculous. And everybody was responding like with this victim blaming thing of like, don't take nude photos. Like, I heard it on the news and on any article, there's like 100 comments of people, blaming the celebrities for taking nude photos. And even the digital commissioner of the European Union apparently was saying the same thing.
And yeah, that's crazy. Don't dress that way. You're asking for it. And don't walk there because you're asking for it. Don't
Right.
buy nice things because then people, you shouldn't wear jewelry because if you wear jewelry, people will rob you.
The kind of weird thing, though, is that millions of people take nude photos and like nude selfies.
Yeah.
It's not like it's an uncommon thing. It's very much common, especially I think among younger people, in the 18 to 25 range. They use Snapchat and they send nude photos or sex or whatever, and they know the risks. Like I know the risks of sharing a photo and storing digitally and whatever, but people do it anyway because people have been doing this since like the dawn of time.
Well, what do you think is the solution then?
Well, first of all, I mean, you look to the companies like Apple and you try to be as secure as you can with your own personal information to make your account secure, but you also want to hold the companies accountable for making their policies clear and for making their services more secure when they turn out to not be very secure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like people aren't going to stop using this technology or not use it for nude photos. So it's just kind of ridiculous for like the widespread message to be like, don't take nude photos.
Well, I also think, if everybody took nude photos and they were everywhere, it wouldn't be a big deal. Because in a way, the reason that they have value is because it's a big deal. Like if we stop making a big deal, if we start looking at them and paying money or whatever to look at them, then it's not a big deal, right?
Yeah, that's part of it. I mean, but the main appeal in the photos is just that the person who took them doesn't want them to be seen.
Yeah.
That's like the whole appeal of it, I guess. Even if they're clothed in the picture, it's still like a private photo that they didn't want you to see.
Yeah, that's true.
But another interesting thing is that one of the celebrities who was hacked is Jennifer Lawrence, and she called the whole thing a sex crime.
Mm.
And I understand why she would call it that. I mean, it's a violation of their privacy and their bodies, and it's the photos were spread around the internet and people were getting sexual gratification out of them. So it's really like, exploitation and everything. But I feel like we don't even really have a word for this kind of crime that really suits it.
Yes, although I think in most of these cases, they probably are sexual photos, because I think most people, and as naturists, we just take nude pictures because it's just normal. But I think most people, when they're taking nude pictures, there's probably a pose or maybe a little bit of action going on because it's called sexting, right?
Right. I mean, a lot of the conversation has been about sexting. I mean, I think other people besides naturists, like they do take nude photos that aren't sex messages or for like something sexy for their partner. but it's like that has been the assumption that that's why people take nude photos. And when they do, they've done like surveys for people's habits with nude photos, and that's what they talk about.
Right.
But I mean, some of these, I didn't look at the celebrities' photos, and nobody else should, because you're just participating in, like, violating them and their privacy.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm sure some of them weren't very sexual kind of photos. I think Jennifer Lawrence's photos were, she had body paint on or something. And, I mean, it's really just a privacy thing, and it would help if we became more accepting of nudity and it wouldn't be such a big deal. But this whole issue, I mean, it's also about privacy, and it's also about people thinking that women's bodies should be like public property, and they can just take control and just distribute their photos as a way to
well, it's another form of objectification, right? It's another way of turning human beings into commodities and body parts and things, as opposed to people, and all of that. I mean, it's one of the problems with a lot of the pornography, and you know, not to get a whole discussion, because people say, "Oh, what's wrong with it?" I don't think there's anything wrong with some of the erotica, but some of the porn just dehumanizes and debases people, and that's what they're doing here. They're selling skin and people's bodies as objects. It's
right. Yeah, that's exactly it.
So, are you changing anything you do as a result of this thing that happened?
No, I'm not.
I mean, not that your pictures, you've got naked pictures that aren't in private places at all. They're very public, so.
I have public nude photos but I have private nude photos also that I don't want to share with the world. And I've stored them on my iCloud, and I'm glad that Apple has made the iCloud more secure in response to this whole thing.
Yeah, and you know what? I have clothed photos of me that I don't want shared with the world either. Same thing, you know. It's not
right. Exactly. Yeah, it's not an issue of like whether people are proud of themselves or not, or anything like that. But no, I'm not gonna change anything that I do. But I mean, I hope that this will become less of an issue, and that other services like Snapchat will make their services as secure as possible, so they can't be hacked. Because it's just like a terrible violation, and these hackers and these companies like need to be held accountable, not the people taking nude photos.
So that's all for this episode of the Naturist Living Show. Thank you, as always, for listening. Again, you'll find links to all the items I mentioned about in the show notes on the website at naturistliving.bareoaks.ca. You can send me emails at naturistliving, one word, at bareoaks.ca, B-A-R-E, of course, because NCA, because we are in Canada. I read everything. I can't respond to them all because I get too much email, but I do read everything. But you don't have to send an email. You can actually record a comment, and then I might include you in the show. All you have to do is call, and you can call by phone or by Skype. If you call by phone, it's area code 905, country code 1, if you're outside North America, area code 905-473-6060, which is the main phone number for Bear Oaks Family Naturist Park. And the extension for the Naturist Living Show is 333. You can also call toll-free 1-888-373-9124, again, extension 333, or for free through Skype. Our Skype name or number is Bear Oaks, one word, B-A-R-E-O-A-K-S, no space. And that puts you in the main phone system for Bear Oaks again, and you can just dial the Naturist Living Show's extension, which is 333. Join us again in about a month for the next episode of the Naturist Living Show.
This episode of the Naturist Living Show was brought to you by Bare Oaks Family Naturist Park. Traditional naturist values in a modern setting. Traditional values means that naturism is more than just taking your clothes off. It is a life philosophy with physical, psychological, environmental, social, and moral benefits. Bare Oaks Family Naturist Park strives to promote those naturist values in a modern setting that provides the amenities and services that our members and visitors expect. Free your body, free your mind. Learn more at www.bareoaks.ca.